So, you want to own a YouTube channel. It sounds like one of the best businesses in the world. No storefront, no inventory, no employees, no rent. Just a camera, an internet connection, and an upload button. Some creators have turned YouTube into billion-dollar empires. MrBeast built businesses worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Ryan's World turned toy reviews into a global brand. Countless creators have earned fortunes simply by sharing what they know with the world. So naturally, millions of people dream of starting a YouTube channel, because compared to opening a restaurant or a retail store or even a small coffee shop, YouTube looks almost free. But here's a question very few people ever ask. Do you actually own a YouTube channel? Think about it. You don't own the platform, you don't control the recommendation system, you don't decide who sees your videos, you don't choose which advertisers appear, and you certainly don't decide when the algorithm changes. Imagine spending 5 years building your business, uploading hundreds of videos, hiring editors, buying expensive cameras, growing an audience of millions, only to wake up one morning and discover your views have fallen by half. Not because your videos became worse, not because your audience stopped caring, but because a computer changed its mind. It has happened before, to thousands of creators, and it will almost certainly happen again. That's because owning a YouTube channel isn't the same as owning a building, or a piece of land, or even a company. A YouTube channel is a very unusual kind of asset. It can generate income while you sleep. It can be worth millions of dollars. It can even be sold like a business. But unlike most assets, its value depends on something you don't control, an algorithm. And that changes the economics completely. Today, we're going to calculate the real economics of owning a YouTube channel. Not just how much money it can make, but what it really costs. Why some creators spend millions of dollars on a single video. Why a channel earning $200,000 a year might be worth over $1 million. And why the most valuable thing a successful YouTuber owns may not be the YouTube channel at all. Because once you understand what you're really building, you'll never look at YouTube the same way again.
Imagine two friends graduating from college. Jake has always dreamed of owning a coffee shop. Sarah wants to become a YouTuber. Both have managed to save about $40,000. Jake starts making a list. Lease, furniture, espresso machines, refrigerators, permits, insurance, a point-of-sale system, employees. Before serving his first customer, he realizes opening even a modest neighborhood cafe could easily cost $200,000 to $350,000, depending on the location. The dream suddenly looks much more expensive. Sarah looks at her own list. A mirrorless camera, a decent microphone, a laptop, some lights, editing software, maybe a few subscriptions for music and stock footage. Even with high-quality equipment, she could be ready to publish her first video for around $3,000 to $5,000. Compared to Jake, it feels almost unfair. One business needs hundreds of thousands of dollars. The other can start with the price of a vacation. And that's exactly why millions of people see YouTube as one of the greatest business opportunities ever created. The barrier to entry has never been lower. Anyone with an internet connection can compete with billion-dollar media companies. But economics has a habit of hiding costs where most people never think to look, because the purchase price is almost never the real price. Let's say Sarah decides to take YouTube seriously, not as a hobby, but as a business. She uploads one long-form video every week, 52 videos a year. At first, everything seems manageable, until she starts tracking where her time actually goes. Research takes 4 hours, writing another 4, filming takes 3, editing takes 10, designing a thumbnail another hour, uploading, optimizing titles and descriptions, responding to comments, checking analytics, a few more hours disappear. Suddenly, one video isn't a weekend project anymore. It's roughly 25 hours of work. Now multiply that by 52 videos. That's more than 1,300 hours every year. And that's assuming nothing goes wrong. No failed recordings, no computer crashes, no reshoots, no experiments that never get published. Now ask yourself a simple question. What is Sarah's time actually worth? If she could earn just $40 an hour as a freelance designer, consultant, or software developer, those 1,300 hours represent more than $52,000 in opportunity cost before YouTube pays her a single dollar. And time isn't the only expense quietly growing in the background. Every creator starts adding subscriptions. Adobe Creative Cloud, AI writing tools, AI voice generators, cloud storage, music licensing services like Epidemic Sound or Artlist, stock footage libraries, Canva Pro, TubeBuddy or vidIQ, external hard drives to store terabytes of footage. Individually, none of these seem expensive. $20 here, $30 there, $50 somewhere else. But together, many full-time creators spend thousands of dollars every year just keeping their production pipeline running. Then comes the equipment cycle. The first camera works fine until everyone else upgrades to 4K, then 6K. Better lenses, better lighting, better audio, faster computers to edit increasingly larger files. The technology keeps improving, which means the pressure to reinvest never really stops. This is where many people make the same mistake. They think the biggest cost of owning a YouTube channel is the camera. It isn't. The camera is simply the admission ticket. The real investment begins after you press upload. Economists have a name for this: total cost of ownership, or TCO. It's the difference between buying an asset and keeping that asset competitive year after year. A YouTube channel isn't expensive because it costs a few $1,000s to start. It's expensive because it demands your time, your creativity, your consistency, and your willingness to keep investing long after the first video goes live. And here's the irony. Even after spending all that money and all those hours, you've still built only one thing. Not a business, not an audience, not even a profitable channel. You've simply earned the right to compete for something far more valuable: attention.
So, Sarah has invested thousands of dollars. She spent over 1,300 hours producing videos. She finally clicks publish. Now she waits. Maybe the algorithm will recommend it. Maybe it won't. Because here's something most people never realize. The moment you upload a video, you're not entering a video platform. You're entering one of the most competitive markets ever created: the market for human attention. Every single minute, more than 500 hours of video are uploaded to YouTube. Think about that for a second. By the time you've watched the first minute of this video, another 500 hours of new content has already appeared. By the end of this 15-minute video, more than 7,500 hours of additional content will have been uploaded. No human could watch all of that in an entire lifetime. And tomorrow, another mountain of content will arrive, then another, and another. This is why YouTube isn't really competing against television anymore. It's competing against everything: Netflix, TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, Disney+, video games, podcasts, news websites, even sleep. Every one of those companies wakes up every morning asking the same question: how can we capture just a little more of your time? Because attention has become one of the world's most valuable economic resources. Unlike money, attention can't be printed, it can't be borrowed, and every person only gets 24 hours a day. That's it. No billionaire, no government, no technology company can manufacture a 25th hour, which means every minute you spend watching one creator is a minute you can't spend watching someone else. Economists call this scarcity, and scarcity creates value. That's why companies spend astonishing amounts of money just to win a few seconds of your attention. In 2024 alone, global digital advertising spending exceeded $600 billion, not to sell products directly, but simply to convince people to stop scrolling for just a moment. That's the economy Sarah has entered. She's no longer competing with another creator who has the same camera. She's competing against some of the richest companies on earth. And here's where YouTube becomes fascinating. Unlike traditional television, YouTube doesn't care who creates the content. It only cares about one thing: keeping people on the platform longer. Imagine owning a shopping mall. You don't care which store makes the sale. You simply want shoppers to stay inside the mall. The longer they stay, the more money every store is likely to make. YouTube works the same way. Every recommendation, every suggested video, every autoplay decision has a single purpose: increase watch time. Because more watch time means more advertising opportunities. More advertising means more revenue for both YouTube and hopefully for creators. But notice something important. The algorithm isn't rewarding effort. It isn't rewarding expensive cameras. It isn't rewarding the creator who worked the hardest. It's rewarding the content that best captures and holds attention. Sometimes that means a documentary that took 6 months to produce. Sometimes it means a 15-second short filmed on a smartphone. The market doesn't pay for effort, it pays for value. That's one of the oldest lessons in economics. A creator can spend 200 hours making a beautiful video only to watch someone else's 10-minute upload receive 10 times the views. Because attention isn't distributed fairly, it's allocated by consumer choice. And that creates an uncomfortable reality. Uploading a video isn't the finish line, it's the beginning of a competition. Every thumbnail becomes an advertisement, every title becomes a sales pitch, every first 30 seconds become an audition. Because if viewers click away, the algorithm notices. If they stay, the algorithm notices that too, which means YouTube creators aren't just filmmakers, they're marketers, psychologists, storytellers, data analysts, brand builders, all at the same time. And eventually, Sarah realizes something she never expected. She thought she was building a library of videos. She wasn't. She was building a system designed to earn attention, one click at a time. But that creates another problem. What happens when the system deciding who gets attention changes the rules? Because unlike Sarah, there is one participant in this marketplace who controls almost everything: the algorithm.
Sarah's channel is finally growing. Her videos are improving, subscribers are coming in. Brands have started sending sponsorship offers. For the first time, this no longer feels like a hobby. It feels like a real business. But every business has risks. Restaurants worry about rising food prices, airlines worry about fuel costs, farmers worry about the weather, and YouTubers, they worry about something far less predictable: an algorithm. Imagine owning a clothing store inside the world's largest shopping mall. Business is booming. Thousands of customers walk past your storefront every day. Sales are growing, so you hire more employees, expand your inventory, sign a longer lease. Then one morning, the mall quietly moves your store from the main entrance to a hallway almost nobody visits. Your products haven't changed, your prices haven't changed, your staff hasn't changed, but your sales collapse. Not because customers stopped liking you, because they stopped seeing you. That's platform risk, and it has happened over and over again in the digital economy. One of the biggest examples wasn't even YouTube, it was Facebook. During the early 2010s, publishers were told to build their businesses around Facebook traffic. Companies like BuzzFeed, Little Things, Upworthy, Mike, and many others invested millions of dollars creating content specifically designed for Facebook. For a while, it worked. Some publishers were generating hundreds of millions of monthly views. Investors poured in money. Newsrooms expanded. Teams grew. The future looked guaranteed. Then Facebook changed its newsfeed algorithm. The company shifted its focus toward content from friends and family instead of publishers. Almost overnight, traffic to many media companies collapsed. Little Things reportedly lost so much traffic that it shut down in 2018. Other digital publishers laid off hundreds of employees or completely restructured their businesses. Their content didn't suddenly become worse. Their journalists didn't become less talented. The platform simply changed the rules. That's the danger of building a business on land you don't own. And YouTube creators face the same reality. The recommendation system is constantly evolving. Some updates prioritize longer watch time. Others reward viewer satisfaction. Sometimes shorts receive more visibility. Sometimes long-form content gains momentum again. No creator, not even the biggest ones, knows exactly how the algorithm works. And that's intentional. If everyone knew the formula, everyone would try to exploit it. Instead, creators spend countless hours testing new thumbnails, changing titles, experimenting with upload schedules, analyzing audience retention graphs, trying to understand signals that are never fully explained. In many ways, a YouTube creator isn't just making videos. They're constantly adapting to a marketplace whose rules can change without notice. Then came one of the most dramatic reminders of this risk: the adpocalypse. In 2017, major advertisers discovered that some of their ads had appeared alongside extremist and inappropriate videos. Many global brands paused or reduced their advertising on YouTube. YouTube responded by tightening its monetization policies. Almost immediately, thousands of creators saw their advertising revenue fall. Some channels lost monetization entirely. Others watched videos that had previously earned thousands of dollars become limited or not suitable for advertisers. Nothing about those videos had changed overnight. The audience was still there, the views were still there, but the economics had changed. Imagine owning an apartment building where every tenant still pays rent, but the bank suddenly decides your rental income is worth half as much. That's what many creators experienced. And this is why experienced YouTubers rarely rely on advertising alone. Advertising revenue is wonderful, until it isn't. The smartest creators learned a different lesson. Don't build a business on YouTube. Build a business through YouTube. Because the moment you depend on one source of income or one source of traffic, you're no longer running your business. The platform is. Sarah eventually realizes something that changes the way she thinks about her channel. She believed she had spent years building an audience, but what she had really built was permission to borrow YouTube's audience. And there's a huge difference between the two, because if the platform changes tomorrow, the audience can disappear from your recommendations overnight, which raises an even bigger question. If a YouTube channel depends so heavily on an algorithm, why would anyone spend millions of dollars making a single video? At first, that sounds irrational, until you understand what successful creators are actually investing in. At this point, Sarah has learned two important lessons. A YouTube channel isn't as cheap as it looks, and the algorithm can change the rules at any moment. So here's a question. If YouTube is this unpredictable, why would anyone spend millions of dollars producing a single video? From a traditional business perspective, that sounds completely irrational. Imagine a restaurant spending $5 million preparing one meal, or a bookstore spending millions printing a single copy of a book.
No sensible business would do that. Yet some YouTubers do exactly that. Take MrBeast. Over the past few years, Jimmy Donaldson has publicly said that some of his biggest productions have cost between $3 million and $5 million to make. Entire villages are built, private islands are rented, hundreds of contestants are flown across the country, massive film crews work for weeks, special effects rival Hollywood productions. To an outsider, it looks insane. How could any YouTube video possibly earn enough advertising revenue to justify spending $5 million? The answer is, it usually doesn't. And that's exactly the point. Most people think MrBeast's business is YouTube. It isn't. YouTube is his marketing department. Think about what happens every time a new MrBeast video is released. Within days, sometimes within hours, tens of millions of people around the world are talking about it. News outlets cover it, reaction channels discuss it, clicks spread across TikTok, Instagram, X, and countless other platforms. The video doesn't just generate views, it generates attention. And attention creates something much more valuable than advertising revenue. It creates trust. Every spectacular challenge, every impossible giveaway, every record-breaking production reinforces one idea in the minds of viewers. If MrBeast made it, it's probably worth watching. Economists call this brand equity. It's the extra value a business creates simply because people recognize and trust its name. Think about two chocolate bars sitting on a supermarket shelf. One is made by a company you've never heard of, the other carries a globally recognized brand. The ingredients might be similar, the production cost might even be similar, yet one sells for more, simply because consumers trust it. That's brand equity, and MrBeast has spent years building one of the strongest personal brands on the internet. Today, that trust extends far beyond YouTube. His snack company, Feastables, expanded into thousands of retail locations across the United States and internationally. Instead of relying only on advertising revenue, the attention generated by his videos helps introduce millions of potential customers to products he actually owns. Now compare two businesses. Business A earns $5 million from YouTube ads. Business B earns $2 million from ads, but another $20 million from products, licensing, merchandise, and brand partnerships created because people discovered the business on YouTube. Which company would you rather own? The answer seems obvious, because the real asset isn't the video. The video is simply the engine. The real asset is the business ecosystem built around it. And MrBeast isn't alone. Look at Ali Abdaal. He started by making videos about studying medicine and productivity. Over time, his YouTube audience became the foundation for online courses, books, a paid community, newsletters, business investments, and speaking engagements. Today, YouTube is only one part of a much larger business. The same pattern appears again and again. Creators like Chamberlain used YouTube to launch Chamberlain Coffee. Logan Paul and KSI turned their audiences into Prime Hydration, which generated explosive retail sales after launch. The formula is surprisingly consistent. First, earn attention, then build trust. Finally, turn that trust into products, services, or businesses that you actually own.
That's why experienced creators think differently from beginners. Beginners ask, how much money will this video make? Experienced creators ask, what long-term value will this video create? Because one successful video can attract millions of new viewers. Some subscribe, some buy products, some join memberships, some attend live events, some become loyal fans for years. The advertising revenue may last a few weeks. The customer relationship can last a decade. That's the power of compounding. Every great video becomes another employee working for the business, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without asking for a salary. Sarah finally understands why the biggest creators keep reinvesting. They're not spending millions to make videos, they're investing millions to strengthen an asset that becomes more valuable every year, their brand. And once a brand becomes strong enough, something remarkable happens. People stop asking, how much money does this YouTube channel make? Instead, they start asking a much bigger question. How much is this entire channel actually worth?
Sarah remembers something her accountant once told her. Income and value are not the same thing. A restaurant earning $300,000 a year isn't worth $300,000. A rental property generating $50,000 a year isn't worth $50,000. Businesses aren't valued by what they earned yesterday. They're valued by what buyers believe they'll earn tomorrow. The same is true for YouTube channels. Imagine two creators. Both make $200,000 a year. At first glance, their businesses appear identical, but look closer. The first creator earns almost everything from YouTube advertising. If the algorithm changes or advertisers pull back, most of that income disappears. The second creator also earns $200,000, but only 30% comes from advertising. The rest comes from sponsorships, affiliate partnerships, merchandise, digital products, email subscribers, and a loyal community that follows the creator beyond YouTube. Which business would you rather buy? The answer is obvious, because the second business is far less risky, and in economics, lower risk usually means higher value. This is exactly how investors think. When someone buys a business, they're not paying for yesterday's videos. They're paying for tomorrow's cash flow. That's why profitable digital businesses are often valued using a multiple of their annual profit. Depending on growth, risk, brand strength, and diversification, a creator business might sell for 3 to 6 times its annual earnings. Let's imagine Sarah's channel eventually generates $250,000 in annual profit. If buyers believe that income is stable, the business might be valued somewhere between $750,000 and $1.5 million. Not because the videos themselves are expensive, but because those videos continue producing customers month after month, year after year. Now ask yourself something. If someone buys Sarah's business, what are they actually purchasing? They're not buying her camera. Technology becomes outdated. They're not buying her editing software. Anyone can subscribe to that. They're not even buying the videos alone. They're buying something much harder to create: a recognizable brand, a searchable library of evergreen content, years of credibility, relationships with sponsors, high rankings in YouTube search, a loyal audience that trusts recommendations, an email list, affiliate partnerships, operational systems, a publishing process. In accounting, much of this falls into something called goodwill. Goodwill is one of the strangest assets in business. You can't touch it, you can't photograph it, but it can be worth millions of dollars. Think about the Walt Disney Company. Most of Disney's value doesn't come from buildings. It comes from stories, characters, brands, intellectual property. If every Disney office disappeared tomorrow, Mickey Mouse would still be worth billions. The same principle applies on a much smaller scale to successful creators. A YouTube channel is really a collection of intellectual property. Every script, every thumbnail, every title, every searchable video, every returning viewer, every relationship built over years. Together, they become a business asset. But here's where things get interesting. Sarah notices that something unexpected has happened. 5 years ago, she thought she was uploading videos. Today, she's operating a media company. She has editors, designers, accountants, sponsors, business partners, legal contracts, content calendars, brand guidelines, revenue forecasts. The job title still says YouTuber, but economically, the business looks remarkably similar to a small television network. And yet, one enormous risk still remains, because unlike Disney or Netflix or even Jake's coffee shop, Sarah still depends on a platform she doesn't own, which means the smartest creators eventually reach the same conclusion. The real goal was never to build a YouTube channel. The goal was to build something that could survive even without YouTube.
Let's go back to the question we asked at the beginning. Do you actually own a YouTube channel? The answer is both yes and no. You own your ideas, your videos, your brand, your intellectual property, your reputation, the trust you've earned. Those are real assets, assets that can appreciate for years, assets that can create opportunities far beyond advertising revenue. But you don't own the platform. You don't control the recommendation engine. You don't decide how advertising works or how the algorithm changes next year. That's why the smartest creators don't measure success by subscribers alone. They measure it by something much harder to build, a community willing to follow them anywhere. Because subscribers can disappear, views can collapse, algorithms can change, advertising markets can shrink. But trust compounds. The creators who understand this stop asking, how do I beat the algorithm? Instead, they ask, how do I build something valuable enough that people would follow me even if YouTube disappeared tomorrow? That's the real economics of owning a YouTube channel. It isn't about owning a website or a camera or even 1 million subscribers. It's about turning attention into trust into a brand, and a brand into an asset that can outlive any single platform. Because in the end, the most valuable thing a creator owns was never the YouTube channel. It was the business they built behind it. So now I'm curious, if you had to build one digital asset over the next 10 years, would you choose a YouTube channel, a newsletter, a website, or something completely different? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy uncovering the hidden economics behind the businesses, assets, and industries that shape our everyday lives, from YouTube channels and streaming platforms to ghost kitchens, private jets, luxury brands, and billion-dollar companies, subscribe to Economics Writer. Because sometimes the most valuable asset you'll ever build is the one people can't see.